Ross.
Hello, David.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just seeing my hair's a bit messy.
You look like you've been to South Africa on holiday on the beach.
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah, no, I'm with the grandchildren.
Oh, you got grandchildren.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's-
How many you got?
They're watching
Wow.
telly over there.
Oh,
I'm on
special.
grandpa duty and mum's sick and so, oh gosh. Anyway,
Yeah. How was your
yeah.
birthday then? What did you get up to?
Yeah, it was all right. Took all my kids out yesterday for lunch
Nice.
and yeah. And we had a little barbecue on Saturday where the families come together. I had three mates over, invited three mates, two of them rocked up, and there was family all over the place. Me and my 30-year-old son, we had a joint birthday, so it was mainly him and his friends and his wife's family.
What is it on the same day, your birthday?
No, 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 it's a month apart, but that's what we
Oh,
decided to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning,
I,
Olivia.
Morning, Olivia. There she is.
Mm.
There she is. Great. Marcus is arriving. Good. Harish. Oh, the whole crew's here.
Yeah.
The
Hi,
whole crew
Marcus.
is here.
Morning.
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 All right.
Good morning.
Morning,
So good
Fresh.
morning. It is 10 o'clock in the UK. It is 11 o'clock here in Africa. Ross, why don't you build the container?
Hello everybody. This I'm gonna try and remember the script. This session is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube for the benefit of others and creating a more non-stigmatized look at addiction. If any of you guys feel uncomfortable with the recording or the live streaming, just let David know and he'll take it down or edit it in some sort of way, I'm sure. And if you ever feel uncomfortable throughout this sessions, raise your hand and say so. But if everybody's happy with the recording, please put your thumb up.
Well done, mate.
Okay.
Keep going.
There's some more, isn't there? I know, yeah.
No, no, no. Now it's building the
Oh, the
container.
container. Sorry, not the script. Yeah. So yeah,
Relax, you're doing fantastically.
I'm gonna check in now. I've had a great long weekend. Did lots of stuff in the garden, which I really love. Love this time of year when it starts to get a bit more drier and you can spend more time outside and not get muddy and stuff, which is great. Went away in the camper van with my daughter yesterday, um, which was phenomenal. Just looking at her sitting next to you while I'm driving along. Um, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I had a great time the past week. And I'll pass on to David.
Great. I'm checking in at 60 years old.
Oh,
I'm
happy
with my
birthday. No, not
grandchildren.
yet. It's the 10th, isn't it?
Hey, no,
Happy
that
birthday.
here's the 10th. I'm the 6th. I was yesterday. I'm checking in. Yes, I've got sore knees and I've been looking after the grandchildren since about 6 o'clock this morning. And yeah, I'm really pleased. My kids have all grown up. Um, and I'm watching, what's it, Toby Trash Engine or something, and I've been watching fucking Robin the Fire Engine or I don't know, all sorts of stuff. Um, Yeah, and it was Easter and Good Friday, and yeah, I'm quite fatigued. I will tag Marcus.
Morning, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm checking in full of beans, full of joy. Just sat out in the sun this morning. It just topped up my energy levels. Had a good weekend. Yeah, spent some time with some friends, repotted my plants, which was like 3 years overdue. They were literally busting out of their pots. So they're happy, I'm happy. They just look so depressed when you don't look after them. It's depressive. Yeah, good weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead and the session today. And I'll tag Olivia. I saw you went to the Bluebell Railway. I
Yes.
love that place.
Yeah. I went to the Bluebell Railway yesterday and done up and down trips back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I kind of snoozed as well for a little bit. And he came, Mum, Mum, and I was like, oh God. Yeah, so that was quite good. He loves trains. On Tuesday, I think we went up London, and we took a boat trip up to Westminster and back down again to Greenwich. And the barge opened up, and a big, massive ship like went past us. It was so cool. It was really, really cool. He was like, "Did you pay extra for that, Mum?" And I'm like, "No, it's just happening." So yeah, I've had a good week. He's still here. You probably can hear his iPad in the background. Yeah, so it's all good with me. I tag Paris.
Hi everyone. Checking in. Good. Had a nice weekend actually. Went to Amsterdam. Very different from my last trip to Amsterdam in 2007. Very different. What a cool city. I really loved it. We did like loads, but it wasn't tiring. So yeah, had a great time. Feeling good. Less stressed. Got really exciting week ahead. Finishing up my current job, which is always fun. Starting new job on Monday. Got a family birthday this weekend. Got a couple of social things on. Yeah, going to a meeting tonight to go see someone. So yeah, great week. Looking forward to it. And the sun's shining. Barbecue nearly weather. Nearly. And I think we're all done.
Great. Okay. So it's back to you, Ross. Now it's accountability. Was there any homework? And once you get a feel of that, then find out what today's agenda is about.
Yeah. Prash is looking at the sky there. He's thinking, did I have any homework? Did I not?
Oh, I didn't turn up on Thursday, so I
Oh,
was traveling. I didn't. Well, my homework is the normal homework, I think, and that's to do my book work on Sunday, but I didn't do that.
oh, okay. Anybody have any homework? I think maybe Olivia and Marcus. Did you speak about the cat? Or Olivia, did you do anything on the ketamine side of things? Yeah.
I spoke with Tia on Sunday. I wrote an email to Bexley Council about 2 weeks ago to the drug and alcohol main person there, and I got a response from them, and they want to meet up on the 23rd of April. So me and Tia are kind of working out what I should go in there with to open up our own hub and see where we go with that. So we're talking.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What sort of things are you going to bring? Are you thinking of bringing up then? What do you think you can get out of the conversation?
We spoke about doing one-to-ones. Tia can do them because she's a counsellor and she's got the masters as well. I can hold the groups with Smart and Ketamine and talk about mental health and kind of hands-on instead of having to go through the waiting list for everything. So I think that's what we're kind of going for. So
yeah, for young people again, or is it for young people, or
it's for anybody, really.
Anybody? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's for anybody, really. Yeah.
Cool.
I haven't really kind of done much this week because I've had my boy since last Friday. So
yeah.
he goes back on Saturday, and then I'll concentrate on that more.
That's great news.
Yeah. Right.
Exciting. Have you got the meeting penciled in, or is it like pending?
Yeah.
The 10th, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, 23rd.
23rd, sorry.
Either by face to face or by phone call, but I did say face to face.
Yeah.
I thought she'd get more to see if she sees me face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Great start. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
we
are you doing,
didn't get.
Marcus?
I'm good. We didn't get to. Yeah, busy. It was a busy week last week, so we kind of missed each other and over the weekend. But it's Easter, so it's all good. We can catch up at some point. I've been looking into how I could structure an alternative group to 12 step and smart, but kind of keeping it familiar for those people as well. But basically, it's a access for all space to just try and support their recovery with the existing systems that are around. So I looked at adult learning styles, more in particular neurodivergent learning styles, and yeah, it's been quite a little bit of a journey. There's a lot of different ways of learning. So it's just trying to narrow it down to something that doesn't seem patronizing, and something where a neurotypical person won't be like, well, but I'm not neurodivergent. This isn't my learning style. So I'm just trying to find the balance between the two there. And then it's kind of just going to encompass life problems and then do some psychoeducation around trauma, the body reaction, and try and break the stigma that it's a disease and that you were born that way. Because I do believe there is a lot of environmental factors that come in and accelerate it. You might be predispositioned, but there's like a lot of accelerating factors. So I'm trying to pull something together that kind of speaks to everyone, but that is basic and can just be a safe space. So yeah, I'm interested to see how the smart meetings are structured. So I do want to catch up with you on that, Livia. And then yeah, lots of notes in different documents. So I just need to pull them all together and find something from that really. But yeah, that's been me. And I've got a few meetings coming up this week. So I'm meeting with the local mental health commissioner manager to talk about the lack of services and the gaps of services. And yeah, just trying to see how we can push more services to be inclusive. So that'll be exciting.
Sounds good. How much like services in your local area are out there, do you think? Now have you kind of
So upon
what more could
looking,
people be doing, do you think?
upon looking, the only service that gets it right at the moment is the domestic abuse service, because they deal with serious stuff, and it seems to me that domestic abuse is more life-threatening than all the other things when they kind of go hand in hand a lot of the time. So I'd like to go in and see how they've rooted themselves in the area and kept a safe service that's been open and accessible. Because they turn no one away. It doesn't matter what state you're in. And I think all the services. So we have a new service called Way Through. They recently merged. I used to work with them, and their philosophy is to bring homelessness, mental health, and addiction under one roof. But there's lots of recovery cafes and drop-in centres, but there's no actual hands-on education, psycho education. There's no counselling. There's still waiting lists. So you can talk about your problem all day long, but you can't really get much done about it in the local area. And the local drug and alcohol service has lost its touch really, and it's got a really bad reputation. So I want to try and link those up to some sort of lived experience machine to see if we can get the local people to improve it if the service itself doesn't have the capacity to, and then homelessness. So we have a homeless charity here, but it's not able to fulfill the homeless side of it. They just like to get people in for food, and they're not people that are homeless. So they're just trying to build a conversation with them, but that's a little bit harder. And then hopefully get them all to work together in a way and just learn from each other. Not trying to
Cool.
change the world or anything.
Sounds like you need a magic wand, I think. Oh, that's awesome. I've been grouping together all my notes and stuff and trying to like make sense of all my little scribbles that I've been taking throughout these hours of these calls, and trying to get like more of a routine and structure around the online learning side of things and like the direction that I want to go in. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah, that's kind of my own personal homework. Accountability ticked off there, David, I think. Did you have anything to add to that?
I need to stop working and try and be more present with my family. I'm sort of doing okay, but I just talk to them about work and I'm connecting with them. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this.
Yeah.
And Africa triggers me. Just because it's incredibly hard here. So yeah. Yeah, I've done all sorts of things.
To try and be
Keep
present.
going there, Ross. You're doing great. Keep going.
Okay. So contract, container, accountability, and where is next?
The agenda.
The agenda, that was it. The agenda. What could be the agenda today then? Has anybody got any things that spring to mind that they want to kind of bring up that we can interlock with sort of the stage that we're at with this course and for maybe educators, and we can talk about for a bit?
Okay, so before you just pause,
Yeah.
everyone, so time out there. Ross, some instant feedback. I love your tone. There's a nice relaxed way that you're doing this. You've held the container well. The tool is to check in contract, create the container, and to do a bottom up approach. So I love the way that you're holding this and you feel calm and safe. You might not feel it in your stomach.
I'm so anxious right now, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I don't know, I just feel like I'm waiting to get caught out kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
so
I feel like, yeah, I better say the right thing, or I better like,
okay, so your
be
political
quick with my words,
correctness.
otherwise I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
lose the room and blah blah blah. Like, yeah.
So there's all the noise going on, huh? Okay, so that can all fuck off. I think you're doing great. Does anyone want to give him some feedback?
Keeping
Olivia
it chilled.
Marcus Paresh?
Yeah, I like it. It's chilled, it's grounded. Immediately coming in, I was like bouncing, and like I've come down to that. So yeah, your tone's nice. It's nice and chilled and relaxing. And yeah, I think you've hit all the spots so far. Checking container and all that.
I think it's good. I think your tone is good, and you take time to deliver the correct information in the right order. So yeah, no, it's good.
It also felt authentic and unscripted.
Yeah.
Olivia, do you want to give some feedback? You can say no.
Well, everybody else said everything anyway, so no.
Okay, wonderful.
And so you can see that you're listening as well, like, and the feedback that you've given, but like your face is like inquisitive, like okay, paying attention.
Yeah, that's something that actually I do actually work on, because I find if I don't like fully focus on the situation, like, I'll be looking out the window, oh, there's a bird, or there's this, or there's that, and then I was lost. Like, so I do work on that actually. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me here. Thanks. So next we need to build from the ground up. Can you give me a few tips on how to do that?
So what are we talking about today? That's a good open question.
Okay. So what are we talking about today, guys?
Recovery coaching.
Good.
I always think it's hard when it's when you're down to earth, when you've been through the shit, and you can relate to somebody when you're sat next to them and they've like just walked into a service or a space and they're just broken, and you know that they're probably trying their best and they're trying to go to all their appointments. So it's trying to understand that boundary between being a peer recovery or peer specialist or peer support worker or whatever, and then reinforcing the system that you know is fucking broken because you have to go to appointments, otherwise you're going to lose your space on the list. Or trying to bring about that understanding that yes, this, like, so how to get that balance, whilst pushing them along the path, empowering them, and but acknowledging that yeah, the system is shit. But just keep going to your appointments and turning up to your therapies and wait on that waiting list just another 2 more years longer. Like that's hard because people come in the next week and they're in the same position. And I guess from a service point of view, if someone's in the same position, they aren't doing something right, when really we know it's the services and the system and the frameworks that are in place. So how does, what do other people think about that in a way?
With me, I see a lot of clients coming in like just for the tick box to kind of get into rehab. So it's like they're kind of, some of them are not even in the session, they're just there like to fill up a space so they can get into rehab. And then it's just a long road to get into rehab, everything that goes behind the scenes. Like there's one guy, he probably needs to be in hospital, and he's been coming. I've been doing this since around December time, and it's come up to 6 months, and he's still coming to every single meeting, and nothing's happening. It's just stayed the same all the time, but he still shows up. But it's difficult because you want to go, why isn't someone doing anything about this? But it's difficult when you can see it.
Has he remained sober throughout that time that he's waiting? Or is
No,
he in active addiction?
he's actively in addiction. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So the hospitals won't see him because of he's still using, and it's just like he won't get seen until he goes into the rehab to kind of have some time behind him. And it's just all the system that then they have to go through their finances, then they've got to go through this. There's so much to it. It's just like, it's really, really difficult. And I don't think there's many rehabs out there for ketamine either that just kind of does ketamine, because you have to have more understanding of ketamine users because they're up 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times a night going to the toilet. So if they go into a rehab and the toilet's on the other side of the building, they're up and down all night, And then when they're in sessions and they want to go to the toilet but don't want to kind of disturb the meeting, so they're in there. It's just like, yeah, it's hard on the outside seeing it and not being able to do anything about it.
It's really hard because like people need help now, don't they? Not even in a week or a month, let alone a year.
Yeah.
Ross, how's the energy in the room? If you were to talk about
the energy is
in the
quite
container.
I would say like quite maybe quite consoling, like quite understanding of how difficult this sort of job can be with dealing with like frustrations of an addict trying to, I go back to it time and time again. And I feel like I am an addict to instant gratification. It wasn't just the cocaine for me. It was like after I've gone into it and understood myself, it's like we just want things so quick, and especially when like an active addict just wants to go to rehab, and it's like, I get some people go through this horrible process, and it takes a long time for some people, but at the same time, I do feel like as addicts, we just want things, if that guy's not turning up, he said he's going to be in 10 minutes, it's 11 minutes past, it's like, God, where is he? But a minute's like a week, a minute's like a year sometimes. So I feel like, back to David's question, like it's quite a frustrating kind of maybe vibe in the room right now. Quite consoling,
Okay,
some
great. Okay.
very thoughtfulness, lots of thoughtfulness in this, and lots of lived experience there, vibes there, people understand the
So
frustration.
turn up the volume of the frustration.
Yeah, I feel like there's frustration within this space now, because we're maybe looking at all the things that people aren't getting, or what the services aren't providing. Lots of people aren't looking in, the answers do lie within, I think, and people that are in a lot worse situations than I was, or than I could ever dream of being in. So I do take my words lightly. I don't want to be saying everyone should go within and find their recovery journey. I found it quite easy. Really, it was quite a relief for me. But I do know that some people find it really difficult. I fell on my feet. I walked into kind of an open rehab in a way. It was an amazing place in Hartlepool in the northeast, and great people around there, and they helped me out massively in the structure they had. Understanding your addiction. There was different kind of like, it was like a university for addiction. It wasn't like a rehab, which makes me sad, because that if I believe
Keep
that if
going.
many more
Keep going.
places had those sorts of open
Turn up
rehabs,
the
as I like
volume
to
of the
describe it.
anger.
Sorry.
Turn up the volume of the anger. You're getting clearer.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
I'm
like,
quite frustrated. There should be more places like this. Just keep going with the anger.
yeah, I feel like if there was more open rehabs that people could come and go from, they weren't tied into it. Because I think commitment's a big thing as well. Like in addiction, like committing to going to rehab is a big. People say they want it, they want to go to rehab, but the commitment, you're locked in there for God knows how long, and you've got to commit now. That's the daunting thing as well. But I just don't feel like there's enough of what I had, and they closed that fucking place down, which is sad.
They closed that fucking place down. And
No,
Yeah.
they knocked it down. They've built a self-storage place there now. It's sad, really sad. The Willows, it lives on. Like, it's helped a lot of people out in Hartlepool, and and that's now spread into the northeast, and now I'm in Gloucester, like trying to spread my energy around. But yeah,
This is a
that's
really frustrating subject because one,
good.
people
Let's
need it.
go. Keep
People
bringing
need
in
it.
Paresh.
So people need it now, and unfortunately, it's a situation where they genuinely want it, they need it, but don't have. Unfortunately, comes down to money, right?
Why?
If I was in that situation, I've got 50 grand sitting around, then I will check myself in somewhere, and they'll probably take me in the next 3 hours and probably send a car, right? And then, so that's the really frustrating part, because the first time I went into rehab, I've been twice. The first time was a joke. Like, I went into this place, I didn't pay for it. It was all the wrong timing for me. It was very expensive.
Where did you
And
go?
a Nightingale.
Okay.
And all I could think about is, I've got to get out of here. I've got to be out of here by Monday. I've got to go to work.
Third floor or second floor?
Can't remember. Alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, that's what's frustrating, right? In terms of like, I had that and all I could think about is going back to work and how much this is costing. So that's not really a person that's in the rights ready for
Who did it cost?
rehab. Huh?
Who was paying for the bill?
My mother.
Your mother. So it was pressure on your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was she paying cash or through insurance?
Cash.
Cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the
Oh.
point is that it's frustrating because, like, I didn't genuinely want it, or I don't know. I thought I wanted it or needed it, but that was like on the third floor, right? And then the second time I was on like the ground floor. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. So
So
the
that's
third,
the first thing. And then the second thing is that, yeah, unless you're really paying for it yourself, it's kind of sounds terrible, but it's,
so if you're not invested in it,
yeah, correct. Yeah.
okay.
But then could that be the flip side for someone that's not paying for it and is waiting for the government to pay for it?
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, it is a frustrating subject because I think it's all about timing, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, I could have gone to 5 rehabs. It didn't do anything the last time I went in, and that was a month.
Okay.
So
So
everyone's recovery is different.
Ross, welcome Anthony into the container. Bring him in, check him in,
Anthony,
summarize,
welcome.
give a summary and bring him up to speed.
Welcome. We're half an hour in now, and we've spoke about a lot. But I just wanted to let you know that this is being recorded live on YouTube, and if you are happy with that, please put your thumb up. And if not, anytime you want it to be taken off, just let David know, and he'll sort it out for you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
No problem. Do you want to give us a quick check-in, let us know how you're at, where you're at, and how you're doing?
Yeah, checking in, pretty grounded and good. Sun shining. I'm a bit late. I had to go on a call with my doctor, and my son popped round to pick up some Pokemon cards. I'll leave it there.
Good stuff. We're just talking about sort of like the frustrations within the drug and alcohol system as it is right now, and how it could possibly, well, the conversations leading to how possibly we could make an impact through doing things differently. So people
Okay,
are just
amazing.
bringing up their stuff and talking about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Where are we at then with the conversation? Yeah, we were talking about how timing is everything. So, you know, how somebody could say they need rehab, but it could be a waste of time because they're not ready. They could think that that's the answer, but they're just not quite there yet. They're really active in their addiction, or they haven't got maybe the infrastructure around there. You know, when they leave rehab, they haven't got the infrastructure around them to kind of succeed and really push on with their life. So I think that's kind of where the conversation's going. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but that's the way I see it. So yeah, do you have any sort of insight into your understanding of timing in addiction, and like how effective and how that can...
So Ross, a good thing to do here as well is like just check with the container if anyone else would like to add anything.
Okay.
Yeah, just because
Yeah.
then that takes a strain off of you to
Yeah.
remember everything.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Thanks for that. Sorry, Anthony, I'll come back to you.
That's all right. No worries.
Yeah, so just back to what Paresh was saying there. Does anybody have anything to add to that, Marcus or Olivia?
Yeah, I guess so my question came from, like, not my question, but my thought came from basically I was dealing with a guy. I was just a volunteer, and I did what I thought should be a paid employee's role. And throughout the course of the situation, I ended up teaching the paid employee what they could have been doing more of in their role. So the guy came in, he was using substances, and he'd got himself into a state of paranoia, and things like that. And he had a communication from the mental health team that he was going to get recalled under a certain act because his behavior, and he had a safeguarding put in about his behavior. So, I mean, I saw that as an untrained member of staff volunteer, and I noticed that he. So when I spoke to the staff, they were like, "Well, it's not our problem. There's nothing we can do." And I was like, "Well, there is. He wants to be recalled, so let's try and get him to do that on his second, like on his. I can't find the word, on his
terms.
On his terms. That's it. So they were like, "Well, what can we do?" I was like, "Well, we could sit him down, explain to him, and explore his options." So we did that. And I said to him, "Look, you can either have the police come and kick your door down and take you by force back to hospital for a reevaluation, or we can try and work together to make that happen on your terms, and you can go when you feel comfortable, and then it'll be less traumatizing." So I explained the consequences of the two scenarios. And then I also put him onto Mind Legal Line so that he could be reassured of his legal rights. Because he was in paranoia. He didn't know what was going to happen in the whole situation. And the Mind Legal Line explained the process that he was about to go through. And I didn't have that knowledge, and the staff didn't have that knowledge. But by the end of the situation, the paid members of staff knew how to deal with this situation if it ever presented again. So it's frustrating because as a volunteer and someone that's recovering, you would expect this service that specializes in homelessness and addiction to know about those things. So it's like, where is the line? I feel that I overstepped my role. I went above my station. But as a human, I just did what a human should do. If you've got the knowledge, then pass it on and help someone out. So that's kind of where I was coming from. Yeah, I don't know if that helps. It was
Yeah, I
the
wanna jump-
conflicts between peer and clinical, or peer and specialist.
Okay, so I want to jump in here if I may. So we're here to do the 20 weeks to become coaches, yeah? And we've got the conversation, the continuum, the system, the 4Q model, and building the container. Yep. And I would say today's conversation is between the continuum and the system. Yep. And the dysfunction of the system is creating a lot of frustration in the container. So what we want to be able to do is take that frustration and use it in a constructive way to take things forward. So Marcus, you bought you stepped into your humanity and you said, "Fuck it, guys, we've got to do something here. You guys are being paid for this. You're not even doing your fucking job properly. Let's sit down and work this out together." And you phoned mental health line or something or whatever, and everyone learned from the system. But you made a call to step out there and do something. Yep. You weren't, it's out of your scope of practice. It's not your job. However, something needed to be done because your fucking humanity was being triggered and this needs to happen. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was trying to structure it around, as a peer recovery support coach, like, how far do we go? in
Yeah,
that
so
role.
where's
That's
the
what I was trying
boundary?
to get
Where's
to.
the line? Fuck, guys, we got to do this. We've got to get this siloed system to work better together. Does that make sense? It's like Ross had a fantastic fucking experience in rehab and they came and knocked the fucking building down. Yeah. There was a solution there that has been destroyed. Olivia's trying to help people that are in quite a desperate state that need some sort of treatment where they're being met, where they can go to the fucking toilet 5 times a night or get up and leave and do whatever, and to look after the physical impact. Paresh needed, he spoke about his experience in private rehab, his mother having to spend a fortune and him not really being engaged in it. And he was on the process and when he got invested in it, that things improved. Yep. People don't understand what the role of a recovery coach is and what we do. Yep. And they kind of tokenize lived experience and like, what are you doing here? What are your qualifications? Why are you here? Who are you to do this? And so no wonder there's frustration in the fucking room. I fucking feel it all the time. And like, we got to do something here. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are we learning about coaching here today? I just want to check that we're on the overall under the overall umbrella of like what we're here to do. We're here to learn about recovery coaching within a dysfunctional system to try and improve that.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. I
Okay.
can see why it does get a bit like we do go off track because obviously there's lots of passion and frustration there. Maybe it
Yeah,
does
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of go
yeah.
towards more like a bit of a, a release of energy, really, instead of kind of like we're here to keep the structure and kind of learn how to be coaches
And
with
that's
that
what anger's
fire
about.
behind us, yeah. Mm,
The anger is asking for boundaries. The frustration is asking,
okay.
fuck, we got to do something here. Yeah, we got to it's the action. It's the emotion that we feel that like something needs to happen here. Fear is the anxiety of like, oh, fuck, this could happen. And sadness is, oh my God, that happened. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, Anthony, what have you learned so far? How are you doing, mate? Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to absorb it all. Yeah, I think just trying to absorb what you guys are talking about and trying to catch up with regards to the system and the problems that I faced.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we've got the 4 continuums. We've got use, misuse, abuse, dependence. That's where an individual is on their using journey. Are they just trying ketamine? Yep. Have they been misusing it? Are they abusing it? Or are they fucking so dependent on it that they've had physical harm on their body? Yep. So just kind of see where that person is. Yeah, Paresh, when he spoke, he was misusing alcohol, he was abusing it, he kind of was dependent on it, but his family system, yep, could see that he had an addiction problem and were very happy to pay money for him to go in for treatment. Yep. So that continuum is addiction, harm reduction, abstinence. Yep. And the continuum with a family member is codependence, interdependence, independence. Yep. So the independence is, fuck, I can't sort this, you sort your stuff out. The interdependent stuff is, how can we work together on that? Yep, which is what Marcus went and did when he said, okay, let's kind of meet people where they're at and try and see what we can do. Does that make sense? And the overall continuum, what you want to look at is high well-being, premature death. So those are the 4 continuums that we talk about. They are in the notes, and I'm sure you'll come across them as you go through the material. Okay? Those continuums make up the system. Yep. So on the one side of the system, you got codependent, interdependent, independent. The bottom line is addiction, harm reduction, abstinence, and then use, misuse, abuse, dependence. And the coach sits in the center here, where my nose is. We're in all the chaos. Yeah, and we got to identify which part of the system is talking to us so we can help bring resilience to the system so that the relationships can start to improve. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if I look at myself quickly, I'm quite frustrated. I'm quite like, fuck, we got to do something. Yep. And that frustration is, I'm so grateful you guys are sitting here today, signing up for this to educate and to learn this sort of stuff that's going to make the world a better place. I'm personally so grateful for that. And I'm fucking frustrated. Like, come on, let's fucking do this, people. It's like, Jesus, nobody's fucking coming. We are it.
Mhm.
We are it. Nobody is fucking coming for us. They'll come after the fact. Yep. And they'll come and like kind of pick up the pieces. But you are pioneering this, essentially. Oh, it drives me fucking mad. Triggers my kokorozashi. Now, didn't you guys have some homework around what your kokorozashi was? What gave you meaning and purpose? Or was that another class?
I think that was Thursday.
That
I
was
just
the
do the
Thursday.
Tuesdays. So.
Yeah, okay.
I can do that though. Meaning.
Okay.
So I watched when I went to Extinction Rebellion, they do
Yeah.
this like 3-hour talk. And so what the frustration that's in the room, and I feel like I'm a little bit on. So like when everyone's feeling angry and frustrated, I don't necessarily feel that like I used to. Because I went through they did this talk called Heading for Extinction and What to Do About It. And they kind of showcased like the world's on fire, it's fucked, and unless we do something, it's going to implode. And then sort of as the talk goes on, it builds the resilience within you. It sets off like a crisis with it, an internal crisis, because you think, fuck, what the fuck do I do? And I think that in this lived experience space, we kind of need to create something that outlines how fucked it is, reinforces that you're okay, you're with the right people, we are going to do this together. And then, that outlines the tools so that the anger and the frustration can, like, while it drives us, while it drives me, in the beginning, I just got all tied up with it. I didn't know what was left, what was right.
Yeah.
But having gone through that journey, and it wasn't just a case of watching the 3-hour talk, I did a lot of work and put in like a little bit like this. It was a community of practice. So I don't know. Maybe there's sort of some space, something needed in this space in that sort of terms that kind of just solidifies the mission and creates some solidarity around what we're trying to do. And I guess this is part of it and the wider network, but I feel it's very disconnected and maybe everyone's got different objectives, but we're all working to the same cause. So I don't know, just a thought off the top of my head. I feel like we're at the beginning of the extinction talk, and we need to get to the end as a profession. We need to get to that end where we have that core resilience and the box of tools, and the let's do it anyway. Even if we do burn, let's try and save as many as we can without burning out ourselves. Yeah, I don't know if that helps.
Wonderful, Marcus. So I just want to build on that. The community of practice is we meet on a Tuesday as individuals to learn a skill set that want to go out into the world and say, I'm a recovery coach. I run a private practice. This is, come and see me. This is my rate. Yeah. Then on a Thursday, it's like you're part of a Lero organization. Yep. And Thursday afternoon is looking after yourself when you're inside a Lero organization that's being paid. Yep. My agenda here is I would like the 5 of you to come together. So you meet on a Thursday and to see what you can do to create an organization that's going to, but that's my agenda. Yeah. I still think it would be good for your own private practices, but it's also something like I'm so pleased Marcus and Olivia are getting together to with Tia to do something down in where's it? Bexley. Where are you, Olivia?
Bexley, yeah.
Yeah, that would be hello, Benji. Do you want to say hello to some people? You see, when he was born, I thought I'm going to spend the next 30 years of my life trying to make the world a better place for him. Yeah, not, I don't have to worry about bringing up kids anymore. Yeah, it's like now what kind of, and that's a real privileged place to be. Yeah. And also I think our recovery wellness program or wellness to recovery program is another alternative to SMART and to the 12-step stuff. It really is grounded in Ubuntu and what we're doing as an African philosophy. Yep, that's again my agenda, and I want to bring that to be supportive so that we can get more people access to clinical based treatment. Yep, that is support someone in their process. That's in the pot as well. We're kind of building that on the side here. So we can offer clinical stuff online that is quality and safe and ethical and yep. And then we're going to need a workforce that understands what we're doing, yeah, that's able to populate that environment with the trained workers. I mean, I sound very like, but there's a workforce out there that doesn't know it's incompetent. Yeah, and they don't understand how to get there. We're kind of going out there and doing it and then going, oh, that didn't work. Yeah, oh, that didn't work. What can we do better? Which is what pioneering and entrepreneurship's about. You can see it with AI at the moment. Everyone's AI this and blah, 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 blah. Sorry, am I ranting? 11:52 here in Africa. Should we take an 11-minute break? Did you want to say something, Marcus, before we have a break?
Yeah, I've always got something to say. I just wanted to go on the back of the we do thing. I've been looking over the materials for that to include that. So the idea is to build the front-facing door to the ecosystem, which we could provide a basic free version of some sort of recovery thing, maybe a subscription, but it'll be a place where other like up and coming coaches like us, we can use that space. We can use it to develop our coaching techniques and things like this. So it'll be like a training space as part of this sort of thing. just to give us space to have hours and stuff like that, and provide that alternative and introduce other people to this way of recovery as such. But like, I've got the basics, the principle of it down and things like that, but it's going to need a lot of us to sort of jump on it. So I just wanted to put that out there, like, just to help David build that and give ourselves training, or myself training, but us at the same time. So if anyone wants to jump on that with me, and I guess it helps Olivia in developing the ketamine group and things like that. And also, it will bring content into for the coaching conversation, because we'll all be actively participating in developing our coaching skills, and doing that like once or twice a week between us. It will just give us some content to bring back on some things to work through as coaches. I don't know if that makes sense, or if I've completely gone off track with how I was trying to explain it. Does everyone get what I
Take
mean?
a break. Mate, you made
Okay.
a lot of sense there.
Cool.
You got to try and make some pounds though,
Yeah.
not cents, not pennies. Okay. See you at, how long do you want?
Go 5 past.
5 past,
fine.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony.
How you doing?
Hmm.
When was your birthday?
Um, Yesterday.
Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you.
Did you do anything with your fam?
Yep, I am 60 years old.
Big one.
Yep.
I met with that guy from, well, I didn't meet with him. I spoke to him and sent him those details in and around Bristol.
Did you? Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well done. I wanted to catch up with you on that.
Yeah, I
Tell us
sent.
quickly what you did.
I um I don't know how to pronounce his name. Utsil.
Uts.
Yeah,
Just say Uts. Utsile.
Uts. Where he reached out. He's got a client who lives near me and looking for dry houses and secondary treatment options in and around Bristol for someone returning home from treatment this week.
Excellent.
And so, yeah, I pulled a few things together. I spoke to a few people who, there's a guy in here who is an ambassador at a few treatment centers in Thailand, and I think he was Ozzy Osbourne's sober coach, and so he's quite well connected, and he give me some individual numbers of people for Oots to contact.
Great. Excellent. How did Ozzy Osbourne's recovery go? Last I saw he was on telly, fucking running around drinking in the
Oh,
garden,
he's
trying
passed
to
away
avoid
now, hasn't
Sharon.
he? Yeah, he passed away last year.
Yeah, but that wasn't through that was, didn't he have Parkinson's or something? Or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, who knows what his recovery was like.
well, if it comes from his agenda. Okay, so Anthony, I'm so pleased you did that.
Yeah,
Because Utz phoned me, got in touch with me and said they had a client that was out in Africa that was going back to the UK, to the Bristol area. Did I know anyone? So I just thought, oh, fuck yes, great, you. And I
yeah,
got him onto the school platform. You're there already, hooked the two of you up, and mission accomplished from my side. So
yeah,
excellent,
yeah. I said if he wants any coaching, then I'm not too far away either.
great, wonderful, good job. Okay, do the check-in, Anthony. Start the check-in. Everyone's back.
I will start by checking in. Um, Grounded. My son keeps coming to the door for different things, so I'm a bit disrupted, in a good way. Um, but yeah, glad to be here for the second half, and I will tag Olivia.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, I'm kind of the same, but I've just put him in the bath now, so hopefully he'll stay there for an hour. Yeah, so all good with me. I tag Marcus.
Yeah, I'm checking in. I'm a bit frustrated. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the session. Oh yeah, sorry, I'll check in Prash.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying first session back from holiday, so yeah, I'm enjoying it. I will tag David.
Yeah, but I'm good, thanks. I'm just going to send a link so Ross can what's it? It's LRC coaching, LRC campus.
Campus.
So there's a link in there, Ross, so that you can join the campus. And then would you like to check in, Ross?
Yeah, checking in. Great. Relieved that I got through the first hour. No, it was great. Yeah, looking forward to the second hour.
Okay. All right. So, Ross, that is the link to school, which is the community that we're putting together to basically what I would like to see is trained coaches there, or people that are on the training path are able to help other people that join it to get help to build recovery capital, and it becomes a feeder for people that want to get trained and certified. Yeah. And then from that, it also becomes a feeder that people can then come into the online treatment side of things to make treatment more accessible to people.
Yeah,
And
okay.
and so please join it. I know Olivia, Paresh, Anthony, and Marcus are there already. And also I've been taking these 3 classes: Community of Practice, Lero on the morning, and Systemic Wellness Practitioner, and streaming them for free, and to break stigma and to bring awareness of that, and then taking the data of those classes and running it through AI stuff and getting some wonderful content from this. Yeah. So that all seems to be working quite well. What I want to kick this part of the container off is I'm going to tell you the story. Yep. And then I'm going to leave the container for you guys to work something out about. Yep. And the story goes, it was over Easter, but you know the story, the parable of the prodigal son. Yep, where the
I've
son.
heard of it, but I wouldn't know the actual
Okay, so
context.
the son's on a farm. Yep, and he leaves the farm and he wants his inheritance from his father, and he gets his payout early, and he leaves and he goes and he fucks it up, and he ends up eating the food that they would give pigs. And then he goes home to his father, and his father runs out and welcomes home the prodigal son. Yep, and the story's about kind of, if you stray and you leave God, yep, that he's never gone away, he'll always welcome you back. And in the story, there's a brother there that's always stayed faithful, has never left, has been well behaved, and he's resentful that his brother went off and basically lived the good life, fucked up, and then came back. Yep. So that's one part of the story that I was taught and that we all know about. And there's a great Rembrandt painting called The Prodigal Son, which depicts this picture. But what I was thinking about is the people that eat the food that's given to the pigs, and they don't have the opportunity of going back to the farm or they just don't have those sort of resources. Yeah. Now, what really upset me over the weekend that I just couldn't not do something about it, but my son he started a farm where he's distributing vegetables and recycling and manure and pigs, and he picks up the waste from restaurants and it gets dumped on his farm. And there are kids in the area that are coming in and taking this food and eating it. And it just fucking broke my heart that, like, Jesus, I cannot stand by and not do something about it. Yep. So that's really charged me up. I'm tired of being a bystander and saying it's not my like, oh fuck, da, 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 or blaming someone. I just couldn't. And I've sat with them and said, we've got to do something here. Yep. And to just, so this is a story I'm leaving you with. And I know that that you guys are all very passionate as well about this stuff. Yeah. So, oh, I feel quite sad as I say this. And I also feel hopeful. Yeah, and you guys are giving me hope. So who's going to hold the container? Anthony, you up for holding the container? You got the most experience here.
Can do.
Yep, great. I'll keep the recording going and let's see what comes out of this. But you guys, you've been around a while now. You're getting this stuff. Okay.
I guess where are we going with the prodigal son stuff? I guess that's if I'm gonna.
You'll work it out.
All right, cool.
Okay. I'll make you the host.
Thanks, man.
Okay, I'll see you all on Thursday. Those of you that can make it.
See you guys.
Bye, David.
Bye, David.
So, guys, the prodigal son.
What I took from that was the actual what I took from it was that you can't just like giving someone all that inheritance or feeding somebody that's digging up food, David's story, which is, you know, shocking really. Is just putting a band-aid over kind of like a problem that's maybe a lot deeper than that and needs to be kind of fixed from the root, you know. I think obviously it serves a purpose, handing someone some inheritance. If they want to go and piss up the wall or whatever they want to do with it, that's a purpose. And it serves a purpose feeding someone that's going hungry. But I think there's maybe deeper kind of answers and solutions to that problem. That's what I kind of took from it. I don't know whether I'm seeing it from anyone else can see that or anyone else has got a different view on that.
Yeah,
Go on.
no, you go
Sorry.
ahead, Marcus.
Marcus?
Okay. So I just relating to it personally, with the relationship with my dad, and then so when he was, I think 21, he was given an inheritance and he tried to spend it well, but he was young, probably in a lot of emotional turmoil. So he was adopted, he was addicted, he had a crazy sort of family life. And so he was given his inheritance and he fucked it up. He spent it all on drugs. He tried to do the right thing, but he had no guidance. So I guess you'd need a lot of guidance and like a lot of back support to cope with that much money in that state of mind. And then more recently, my nan passed away, so his mum passed away, and that's like he's nearly 60, so quite a lot of years on, like 40 years on, and he's taken that money and he's started his own company, like he's put it to work. So I always thought that like he shouldn't have been given that money, but I guess without the money in the beginning, he wouldn't have learned what he learned along the way, in a way. I don't really get where to go with the feeding of the pigs thing, but yeah, I can see that in like my dad's journey. So his mum welcomed him home after he spent the money and just tried to give him that love and support and guidance knowing that he's probably going to get another inheritance when she dies. She probably had that in her mind, and she's like, God, I better try and help him develop the skills and, I don't know, the mental resilience. Because if I give him that money again, he's probably going to kill himself. And yeah, so whatever she did in those 40 years, it's worked. So yeah.
I can talk about a personal happened to me. I was with my ex-husband for 18 years. We had a house together. He moved out and I lived there for another 10 years afterwards. And then we sold it and I got 50% of the equity. And whoever trusted me with that amount of money, I don't know, because it's all gone one way or another. But maybe if I had that, money over again, I'm thinking about I could have my own house now, I could do this, I can do that. But then I wouldn't be the person I am today, trying to help others and, going down the recovery route. So, yeah, I do say to my daughters, why did you give me that money? Who gave me that money? So that was it's like when I look back at it, I think like, oh man. But no matter how far you go down, you can try to kind of get back up again. I think that's what that story is kind of trying to say as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I think from my experience, when I turned 18, I got a ISA from my grandparents that they'd saved, and it was to buy a car, and I spent it in less than 2 weeks paying all of my football mates out to party for my 18th birthday, and then I didn't have the balls to tell my parents, and I had and then I had to. I was going on a boys' holiday, my first one, and my mum and dad were like, "Why aren't you packing your bags?" Blah blah blah, and then I had to be like, "Oh, because I haven't got any money left," and it caused this huge rift between my parents, but between me and my parents, sorry, and the other family members who'd spent their whole life saving this money for me, and I just spunked it with complete disregard for all of their efforts. And yeah, it wasn't very pleasant. But I guess it's the same as what Marcus said. I didn't have any guidance in any real part of my upbringing. And so, it was inevitable that I was just gonna get this cash and just do exactly what I wanted with it as quickly as I wanted. And it's like at least I did it, I was like I got all my mates involved who didn't have any money and facilitated a great time for us all. But obviously it wasn't that sensible and wise, and I learned like off the back of that I didn't pass my driving test until I was like a couple of years ago. My family kept my provisional license application from that when I was 17. I might still have it somewhere, and I didn't bother. It was like traumatic. I didn't bother learning to drive after that until I really needed to in my late 30s. I think money's a funny old thing, isn't it?
It's hypnotizing when at a young age. It's hypnotizing in a way, like all your senses go out the window, and you're like, "What can I do with this?" And you want immediate reward, so you
Yeah.
spend it on fun things. But that money is a long-term thing. Like you get that pot of money. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's a long-term thing. You know that you need money for the future, or you need to bank a little bit to, make something happen. But then that impulse just comes
How
over you,
far's the
and it's
future
like,
though when you're like 18 with,
exactly, yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I was having a conversation with, my partner about like money when we were younger. Like I earned money like through doing different jobs and stuff, and he was like, I'm earning this money and just thinking about how I can spend it, whether it's new trainers, this or that, going here, going there, whatever it was. It wasn't like, I got 100 quid, I'll spend 50 quid on myself or put 20 quid away and 20 quid into a fund for a holiday next year. It was like, oh, how am I going to spend? Like those trainers cost this much, that bag of weed costs that much. I'll need some munchies, so that's like a tenner. And it's just like thinking of how you can spend it, like how you can make it work for you and how you can, benefit your future long term.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
And I
Interesting.
remember at that age, like every time I got money in my bank, it was all everything was valued by the amount of pints it would be, or the amount of or the bag of coke that it was gonna be. So it'd be like, oh, these trainers are 80 quid, and you're like, oh, that's a bag and 12 pints. No way, I'd rather go and have that instead, and it was just like everything just was through because we're not educated at school about your finances or anything. It's kind of like I grew up on the streets, man. That was how I equated what I was gonna spend my money on and how I would. That was the only thing that really mattered to me. Which,
Mm,
which now, like looking back, is just completely insane. But I do think I learned a big lesson from that because when I did need, when I went into treatment, I had some money aside in later life to pay for my treatment. I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't have those resources to pay for my treatment 2 years ago. So yeah, I think what Olivia and Marcus said, I think there's a lot to learn from those mistakes in your younger years.
Like the chaos of addiction, isn't it? It's like that's how our lives are unmanageable. We're just like, and we hit rock bottom and we come back again, hopefully, most of us, some of us. I think that's what David was trying to get from that scenario.
Yeah. But and then I think like that the systematic side of, what David said about relating it to the children eating, I think that's the problems with the system in general. Like not all
Mm.
addicts have the availability to resources and they're given, certain things from the system that are just that they're only things available, but they're not particularly helpful in keeping people on the right path, giving the people the actual tools they need to recover.
You
mm,
know, if you, I don't know, like I had a taste of a good life for a little while. I was kind of taken in by two little old ladies who kind of saw my circumstances for what they were, and I got shown a different life. But before that, like I was happy eating the pig feed, so to speak. Like I didn't know any different. And it was only until like I realized my purpose was, or one of my like good qualities was caring for people. And I thought I was an uncaring person in that sense. And then I went into a care role in a care home, and I looked after this lady's husband in his later years of dementia, and that's what's like sparked off like this passion for caring and wanting to like have a difference, make a difference. And I don't think we get taught these things, and it shouldn't be school. Like, and if society abdicates a lot of its responsibility to school, it's like, well, you take my children for 8 hours of the day and see what you can do with them. And I think a lot of families lack that. family unit in the sense that it should teach you all the things that school doesn't. School can do the academic stuff, but I think like the morals, the purpose, the principles, like all these things, a lot of modern families are just like, well, the school should be teaching that. I need to go out and work. And so I think that's where the system creates a society that's happy to just feed on pig food, basically. Because yeah, and I guess that's the difference between our culture and maybe Ubuntu is the community. The community holds that responsibility for themselves in making sure that people understand the difference between pig food and what a king eats, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't think, yeah, there's a lot that needs to be put into children these days that isn't necessarily taught in the environments as the structure is set up now, or it's lost its way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think education's key, isn't it? I think maybe like, I've got this family in Australia, and like my uncle over there, he's always his dad invested in stocks and lived a good life, and like he took that on board and does a bit of stock in. He's got a full-time job, but he has his like stocks on the side and stuff. And like my cousin who's 18, he's doing it. So it's like who you're around, like setting a good example, I think is massively important. I became a chef because my granddad had an allotment in his back garden. My nan cooked fresh food from like the raw ingredients. So I just like oversaw that and was influenced by that. So I think that your influences as well, like really do shape you. Like really, my influences. I never heard my dad. I never saw my parents talk about like investing for the future is like paying the bills and maybe saving, but like saving to then like spend. Saving for a holiday or this and the other, which is fine. I was looked after in that way, but I think just looking at it from like now as a parent, I think setting an example is massive for people's futures. People like observation. Children they observe don't even learn from kind of just looking at you, the way you write, the way you walk, the way so you carry yourself in the street, what you cook and things like that. So I think that's something I think about a lot. Yeah. How I was shaped and why the choices I made that kind of happened because I was kind of replicating people around me. You're a product of your own environment, and I think until you know better, then you do better. And through like lived experiences, through spunking money up the wall, and through giving maybe people those, or if you give people enough rope and they hang themselves, that kind of scenario is, going back to the lived experience thing that we're all going through now and passing on to our peers or our kind of, I don't want to say under peers, I don't like that, but the younger generations, I think is massively important. We've all made mistakes and we're learning from it and trying to pass it on. It's cool.
Anyone else got anything on the back of what Ross has just said?
Just something small. Last night I'd done dinner for me and my boy, and I was doing something else, and he got up and he went into the front room, and I was like, "Where's your plate?" And he said, "On the table." And I went, "Should it be on the table?" And he's like looking at me, and it's like, "I've cooked your dinner. You put your plate outside, and you say thank you." And he's going, "Oh, Mom," but it's just putting things like that, little things like that. Didn't I? He's smiling at me. But yeah, just little things like that teaches people how to kind of live and be accountable.
To light up those two lights, but actually made it so
Yeah.
Sorry, he's got his iPad and put it on silent.
Coming off that yeah, so my nan was a nurse. It's just clicked that even though she didn't teach me about nursing, like she always used to talk about working in the community and stuff. So subconsciously I must have picked that up. And yeah, I always just thought I was a caring person, but I didn't give a fuck before. So my nan was like a really good influence in my life, and then those two little old ladies, and then they're no longer around. So, but very soon after being around them, things sort of started to fall apart, and I just fell back to old ways. But they hold you in value, like they see the value in you, the elder generation, because I think the mistakes they've made, the lives they've lived, we don't want to see the younger generation go through that. It's like if you can make their life a bit easier by removing the obstacles or the struggles, but in the same sense, we need those obstacles and struggles to learn. What I did anyway. I always did it the hard way. I was like the button presser or the boundary pusher, like don't do that, I'd have to touch it or but yeah, that's how I learned. I think I don't know, does everyone I think I feel like everyone learns that way. It's a natural thing.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for like even just parenting now in recovery, like it's very different from pre-recovery. I think the gifts that and the positive influence that my son gets to see now, that what you were saying about the things you don't learn in school, that emotional intelligence and that, presence, I think that is invaluable from a recovery perspective, like how my relationships changed with my son. Not like trying to usher him back to his mum's as quickly as possible so I could go and have a user, you know. It's very different. It's quite amazing, really. And I guess, yeah, from my experience, I was always around boozing and drugs and violence in Middlesbrough. I grew up in one of the roughest parts of that area, man. On the streets, the people that I looked up to were drug dealers and the people who claimed to be the hardest in the area, who had the reputation, those are the people that I hung out with and looked up to. So it was inevitable that my life was gonna go one way because that all of that stuff was so deeply ingrained in me. My core beliefs and my values were all borrowed from that environment. And even though I kept moving around the country, like every time I was triggered in a dangerous situation, it all went back to those primitive years, and that's what got me in so much trouble. Um, yes, it's quite a enlightening thing when you come into recovery and you can see how it's all panned out for me. I think like it's crazy, really. I guess, talking about that and yeah, how how do we make positive waves and how to affect the system to make it to implement that change, I guess that because otherwise like that traditional schooling system never changes. Like my son's still learning about the Tudors and stuff that, just absolute shite that he's never gonna use in his life, and it's like
Mm.
how when do we start implementing like that positive change and teaching the younger generation what they actually need to survive in the world?
I think like on that, like I used to see these things as like non not helpful. So like learning about Victorian Tudor, but I guess in the context, and I don't think they can quite hit the nail on the head when it comes to it. Like when we look back and you look at the world now to then, you can see how like we're always just striving for better. Like the Victorian era not having sewage, not it's unacceptable. Whereas now, like we take that for granted. And there'll be things like now in 50 years' time that'll be like really unacceptable, like that we don't even consider today. But I just think schooling, it doesn't install the values and the beliefs. Like I think they could use more modern approaches. It's the same with church. Like I get the idea and the concept of church and religion. I just think the story's outdated. And if they would just come and say what it is, it's philosophy, it's building belief and value and stuff, but they use all these confusing stories. And so you want the meat on the bone. You don't want the shit bits of the information. You just want, I don't know, I'm more of a direct person, so I just want to know, you know, what's the psychology behind it, what's the philosophy behind it, does it make sense, does it help? I'd say to people, I don't even trust my own story, and I live with myself, so the fuck I'm gonna trust like a 3,000-year-old guy's version of the world back then? It's just completely unrelatable to me in this modern day era. And I guess there are things to take from it, but I try and look between the lines and look at the philosophy and, you know, what drives it is the need to change, and constantly humanity evolves and changes. And I suppose it's just keeping our finger on the pulse. All of these teachings, it's like keeping your finger on the pulse and just making sure that we're doing the right thing by the right people. So it's like and I think also the system, as we talk about it, like everyone probably has their own good morals and beliefs because they're in like a line of work that's caring. But I think the disconnect is they're usually people from better backgrounds or more privileged backgrounds, in the sense they hadn't gone through some of the struggles that maybe we have or I have. So I always try and go, well, how do you bridge that gap of knowledge? How do you get someone who's never been through addiction to understand addiction? Like I worked at the homeless place for like a year, and like 3 months in, I just did what I do. And the lady who runs the project, she's a church lady. She's very lovely, but she was like, "You have to teach me what you know." And I'm like, I couldn't possibly. You'd have to go and be a crackhead and a weed head, or be an alcoholic for like a considerable amount of time and do a lot of trial and error and ignore all the fucking good advice around you to know what I know and to be guided how I'm guided. Like I couldn't just teach you that. Like there's no book that you can read that can make you understand. But when I told her my story, like that resonated a lot with her, and I can see that she took something from that. And I think it's the storytelling. Like we are humans, we tell stories, we go on a journey. So a bit like on Thursday, someone's going to tell their story, and I think that's the most powerful way of bringing that emotiveness that will fuel someone else that doesn't quite understand it to want to change something for a person that has different experiences. But yeah, I don't know why I talk around the houses, folks.
Thanks for sharing, man. I guess as
So
we
I think though, like, oh, sorry. Oh.
No, go ahead, Ross.
I think as well with like the school thing, it's topic of conversation in my house. Got, she'll be 10 weeks old on Friday. It's like, what influences do we want her around? Do we want to send her to nursery where there's some random person looking after her, like 8 hours a day, or do we want to look after ourselves? We chose to look after ourselves, you know. And the same with schools, you know, the system, the school system. You maybe even looking at like the religious teachings, like to have faith. I think is a great thing. Don't necessarily, no, don't believe in that 2000 or however year old book that has the stories in it, but the teachings from it, the philosophies and the principles, some of them are fantastic. You know, the act of faith, I think, is great. To have faith in people and humanity and whatnot is great. But yeah, I think to have influence like that, to put your child in a system, I don't even know how many hours a day it is. I'm just going to guess 8. It's going to have a massive effect on them and the way they see the world and how they turn out. So I think it's a great topic of conversation, and it's maybe something that a lot of people think about, but get caught up in life so much, and it's just kind of the easy option. You know, we've got a big mortgage and a car on finance, and oh shit, we both need to work to pay the bills, and then the kid gets put in that system, and then they lose that connection with their family and their kind of like true beliefs, true value, maybe. I don't know.
I always look to the traveller community when it comes to things like education and principles and values and things. I think, they're very stigmatized, but actually having lived on a traveller site, like they are so much more connected. They are so much more in tune with each other. And because they spend a lot more, like that 8 hours of school is spent doing the things that we are responsible for as a community. So like keeping like a good home, keeping a good space for everyone to live in, going out to work. And I think the behaviors that come out that are stigmatized is a result of being expelled and excluded from the system. So it's like frustration because they don't have access to a lot of what we have access to. As they don't live inside this system and they're villainized for it, but actually I think they've got the right idea. And their moral compasses are a lot more like, I don't know, I think they're a lot more sweeter, they're less entitled, they're more willing to work for what they've got because they feel that responsibility, like they've witnessed other family members living up to that responsibility, and they see other families in the same sort of setup living up to those responsibilities. I think we abdicate responsibility not willingly, because I think a lot of us would want to homeschool and spend a lot more time with our children in the life cycle, but it's the system. I'm fucking starting to hate the word system. It's the system that keeps us, like you said,
system.
working. You've got to chuck your kids away in order to keep surviving in a way. And I think that's what's happened. We've discarded our children as a few generations, actually, quite a few generations. We've just lost that connection with the children. I look at the youth now and I think,
like, what pivotal things you feel like? Obviously, 2 generations, but maybe Paresh and Olivia. Sorry to call you out, but you're the elders of this group, I think. Like, where do you think that was like lost? And like, I always try to think logically. My autistic brain is kind of like shuts it off and goes to logic and solutions and trying to, get myself out of our situation. But I maybe think my grandparents talk about like credit, when you could start getting things on credit, like a car or a sofa or a TV, and then you're just living out of your means. You're always like chasing your tail, and now you're just lost. You're in the system. You're in that system now. You're not like repairing your car. You're just buying a new one. You're not getting your fridge freezer regassed. You think it's broken, so you throw it away and you get a new one. Really, you just need a guy to come round and just gas it up, and you're away again. So like, where do you think? I'm gonna go with Paresh. Like, where do you think like maybe that sort of connectiveness has sort of been lost in society, like through the generations?
Mobile phones, instant gratification.
Mm.
Yeah, everyone just wants everything now, right? So, I mean, it's changed so much through the generations. So I'm making loads of generalizations here, so forgive me, but in our 20s, you would, you know, get a job, you would try and save money, you'd have goals, you like long term, like buying a house. There's all this thing out there about, young people probably won't buy a house or own a house. With mobile phones and social media, everything is, swipe, swipe, dopamine hits. No one wants to wait for anything. It's all short term, I think. You get grads coming out of university. People don't want to come to work. They all want to be on 100 grand. They think they should be on 100 grand. They don't want to accept that they're not going to be. They move on somewhere else. They get increase or whatever. It's just so different. But I think it's the whole everyone wanting everything now mentality, and I think that's come from mobile phones and social media. I don't know if anyone disagrees or it's mental. I see it in my kids. Just can't even wait. Can't wait for anything.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
crazy. And they're good kids. They're getting a bloody good education. But it's crazy, I'm still down at I don't know. There's all these gyms around near my house. People are young people, professionals, I think, in their 20s. They've got massive disposable incomes. They must be spending a fortune on rent, spending £250 a month on gym membership and a boutique small gym around the corner, going out for coffees, just spending, spending, spending. So where's the long-term view? I don't know. I don't know what their long-term plans are, but everything's now. Have I gone off on a tangent? Probably. Or a
No.
rant. So yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's how it's changed so much.
Yeah.
People's
Agree.
thinking are different. Like, like no one wants to wait for anything. And I've become like that as well, though, right? On the flip side, through my addiction, I think. I just can't wait for anything. I want it now. Yeah.
I completely agree. It's like technology, consumerism, like the creation of big brands and things like that,
Yeah.
coming away from, just living off of the land and taking what you need as you need it. That's a massive thing. I think consumerism in that sense,
Yep.
which mobile phones and advertising, all of that stuff it serves consumerism. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't see grandma in the garden working really, really hard to keep up the vegetable patch, making
Yep.
sure that they can sustain for the year, pickling things in jars because not everything lasts forever. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that thing you said about the fridge, Ross, you just get a new fridge because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
My mum's fridge lasts 20 years. She's getting a new fridge. I'm like, when did you buy your fridge? Fridges don't last 20 years anymore, right? They're built not to last. you get a new, I don't know what the cycle is for whiteware, but like getting into a bit technical around whiteware, but you get the behavior, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
And
the
then what
same as
about Amazon? What about Amazon? And then COVID. What about Amazon? Is it? I mean, my street can't be anything unique. There's a guy that just parks at the end of the street, and he just loads all of the. He just delivers all of the packages to every second or third house. Now, I don't know. Is that because no one's got time? No one goes to shops anymore. Bookshops don't exist. Stationery. So you look at top 10 things on Amazon around term time. It's all glue sticks. I don't know, stuff for kids going back to school. Mums don't have time. I know it's really being stereotypical, right? Like
it's
two
convenient.
income families, mums don't, there's no like stay home mum, and maybe if the husband is earning a lot of money, but I'm just looking at this little bubble, right, that we kind of are surrounded in here. And you see more people are working longer, harder sort of thing as well. No one's got time to go to a shop.
Yeah. Convenience, isn't it? And I think a lot
People
of it goes
freak
back.
out when they're like Amazon delivery is taking 2 days. Like I just got my Amazon account back like recently. I looked at my last order, it was in 2021. Well, because I've been so fucked basically, right? For like 4 years. I don't even access my money, let alone Amazon accounts or Uber or Deliveroo. And it's like, wow, this is cool. Got Amazon Prime. My God. Comes the next day. But that's what's happening. Sorry, you were saying.
I was just gonna say, it's just having that convenience, isn't it? With
Yeah.
everything is at the touch of a button.
Yep.
And I think we get stuck in that system because of what Ross said about the credit and the debt. The global debt is
Yeah.
increasing, so the cost of living gets higher and higher, and then we're all stuck in a system. Like
Yeah.
I've
There's
not
no
worked.
consequence either. There's no consequence, and it goes
Yes.
hand in hand. Like the only consequence is it's going to cost you more money, which is going to make you go out and work harder, and then you're going to need to reward yourself, so you spend more because you earn that money.
Yeah.
And
Consequence a big thing. Don't you think that like people's behavior will never change until they're consequenced,
Mm,
either by their own behavior or by the world we live in?
yeah,
yeah,
that's a good point, because consequences is probably the consequential system, the way that we
Yeah.
penalize people is probably the reason that so many people struggle. So there different forms of consequence? Is
Yeah.
there compassionate consequences
Yeah.
versus penal consequences?
I mean, even in addiction, right? If there were no consequences, you'd be still going, right? Of course you would be. Just couldn't take it anymore. It's just got too bad,
Mm.
didn't it?
mm,
Health, wealth, family, whatever.
yeah. And I th
Or you'd still be doing it.
I think they're gonna see that like well, I listened to a podcast yesterday with the one of the founding fathers of AI, and he's talking about, how I think the system's going to really eat up a lot of the population who sit behind a computer for their work, over the
Mm,
next few years. And he's saying it's actually frightening, the shift we're going to see in how people work and the people that are going to be laid off. And I think the system that is keeping a lot of us working so hard is going to also crush a lot of
yeah.
people who are going to be like, if you I work in the tech industry at the minute, and like every time I go onto LinkedIn, like Oracle have just announced they're making 30,000 people redundant
Yeah.
because they're implementing AI. It's like every time you log on, someone in Silicon Valley is laying off 5,000 people because they're using
Yeah.
AI. Like it's gonna affect the world in such a big way, I think. And then that the people who are in this system, and you need to earn this amount of money to keep a roof over your head, it's good. I think there's going to be some catastrophic changes coming.
It always makes me ask the question, what will a life without purpose look like? Because we're going to be served by AI and computer and technology. What the fuck's going to be left for us to do?
Yeah,
Just to consume.
because purpose grounds you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Keeps you focused and grounded.
I seen a funny video of all of the tech founders in 25 years. It's made by AI, and they're, Jeff Bezos is all fat and like they've created this gym, like a boutique gym, and the humans are all shredded in there. They don't have to work. All they do is they earn their credits by powering the AI by using the gym so that everyone
Oh my
exercises
God.
and empowers the data centers to run the AI.
Oh
You
my
know,
God, that is
it's
crazy.
if anyone's watched Black Mirror, that's kind of like,
Rats on a
a
wheel.
dystopian
So you're on the
future of
exercise
how,
when you're powering the data center,
yeah,
powering the cloud.
on
God.
exercise bikes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I think, the system is dysfunctional where in a lot of ways, isn't it? I guess the system does have the ability to function well, but I think there's a very um what is it, unbalanced pendulum.
Guys, I've
So-
got to drop off, but
yeah,
we
it's
haven't done
12. Sorry.
checkout and stuff.
You check
Sorry.
out and wrap it up. Do you want to check out, Paresh?
Yeah, all good. Scary conversation to end on, but all good. Looking forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. I can only make the second hour, fortunately.
You see that?
Yeah, have a good week.
Who you tagging?
Ross.
Yeah, that was a great hour. First hour. I really enjoyed. Thanks for the support, everybody, and the patience. And yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday. I heard about this Thursday thing, but I wasn't too aware of the timings and stuff. Like I've sort of committed to Tuesday being off work, but Thursdays, if I can ever make it, like where do I go and what do I do? Like what time is it? Can someone just tell me?
Same link, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Same link,
Same
same
time,
time.
same link.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. If I can, I'll jump in it
There's
whenever I can, but it's just good to know.
there's 2 sessions on the first. There's 10 for 2 hours and then at 2 for 2 hours.
Right, okay.
They are a bit
Okay.
different, but
Same
yeah.
link.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers. Marcus, I'll tag you in.
Yeah, good. I enjoyed that conversation. It just took me back to this must be what it would have been like to sit around the campfire, just sharing stories and experience and things like that. So it'd be nice to see more spaces like this. And yeah, it's given me food for thought for the day. And I will check out Olivia.
Thanks, Marcus. Sorry. Yeah, I'm checking out good. I'm gonna go to the park now. And all good with me. See what you talking about? Little monkey. Yeah, we're gonna go to the park.
Nice.
Anthony?
Yeah, checking out anxiety-inducing conversation about the future. But I mean, it's all good, isn't it? I think it's good to have these deeper chats as well. So yeah, I enjoyed it. And thanks for coming, guys. We'll see you next week or on Thursday. Have a good week.